Okay. Hello everyone. Let's get started. A little introduction from me. My name is Alexander Sergeyevich Havanov. You know me as head of School of Sports and Fitness, and also I'm a teacher here. So I have no special achievements. I have a big experience as a high-level athlete for almost 15 years. Around 8 years ago, I started to work on the sports field. I work as a coach, as an instructor, as a teacher, but I worked with athletes for all my life before you, and this is new experience for me to describe physiological stuff. Also, how to explain about me. Now I'm doing research. I'm studying at postgraduate program. I have at least 20 publications, and that's all about physiological things in swimming and swimming technique. I read lectures for sportsmen, that lectures also in sport university, but they needed some deep knowledge about physiology, exercise physiology. This is my second chance to make these lectures interesting for you. First time I read this course for 4 course 1 month ago. I think it will be not bad. I made some work and I think it will be more interesting for you now. So, some organization things. We will have 5 lectures. You will have 1 homework, and you will have final quiz for 30 questions. It's everything. I think it's not difficult. And also, I believe this knowledge will be useful for you. So, how we will make lectures to be more interesting for you? I recommend you ask me questions. You can interrupt me and ask questions. So, okay. I'm sorry, if you're asking questions, please speak to the microphone because we're recording these lectures.
Okay, my question about final answer. You say that you have 40 questions.
30?
30. Okay, 30 questions. Only from 5 lectures?
Yes, for this block exercise physiology.
Only from the block.
Yes.
Okay, but we will be
Some of you asked me make it as much as possible earlier.
Yes.
Okay, I will make it maybe for 1 week or 2 weeks.
Okay.
Also, I will speak in English because we're recording this lecture, and also we on hybrid format. This is the translation. But if you not sure about English definitions, you can ask me in Russian. But I will answer in English. Some questions? Okay, this is the plan of today's lecture. I think in the middle of the lecture we will make 5 minutes rest, and after first lecture 10 minutes rest. So I will speak some blocks, and some blocks I will read for you, but after that I will comment what will I read. Okay, this is the general definition of exercise physiology. It studies body functions and their mechanisms under the influence of muscular activity. So I think it's simple. We will learn how our body works, processes during exercises, and I will try to explain each process to the 2 ways. If you, for first way, if you beginner, if you did nothing for last years, and if you are a professional sportsman, the difference, I will try to show you the difference between. So, why do you need this information? First of all, I think it will be useful for beginners who never did sport. And for example, when you're going to the first training without coach, without trainer, what you will do? How will you decide which exercise you need to do? And also, how many will you need to do in this training? And the main simple thing, this you heard about it, I think the trainings, physical exercise make you healthier. Anybody heard about it? Yeah. It's a simple thing, but not all of people realize why and how it makes you healthier. I will try to explain it. So, I think you, after these lectures, you will realize what you will do on the training, and it be easier when you will try to choose your sports type, it will be easier to realize that one lesson per week, that means 2 academic hours per week, is not enough to do sports and to be healthy person. Any questions for this? So, what's the physical education or physical development? In Russian, that means физическое развитие. You can write this definition about physical development. It is the process of formation and subsequent change throughout the life of an individual of the morphofunctional properties of his body and physical qualities and abilities based on them. What that means? That means physical development, it's changes in your body through the life. It can change, how to say в зависимости? Okay, thank you. It's depending on your age, first of all. But the second is your environment and your physical activity throughout life. So I mean, some of the people who don't do sports or when they're young, I saw that the most of them can fall apart by the age of 35, and they try to make everything possible to отсрочить старость. Что сделать? Delay aging, thank you. They starting to prepare for Ironman triathlon, and they're starting to go to the gym every day, but it's too late. They wasted their time. So, how can you realize that you are healthy? Some ideas.
Well, the first thing that comes into my mind is you're healthy if you... Oh, sorry. Thank you. The first idea that comes to my mind is that you're healthy if you don't feel any pain anywhere. But it seems not quite correct, because in the case you described with people who don't do sports, they become unhealthy by 35 and they didn't feel any pain before that, but probably they weren't healthy while not doing sports. So.
Okay, thank you. Any ideas? Okay, for example, if you have a high pressure, you can feel okay every day, but you have high blood pressure. What that mean? That means it increases your Нет, не вспомню, какой-то инфаркт.
Heart attack.
Heart attack, thank you. It increases risk of heart attack for you or insult. So scientists tries to measure health status of people through the ancient times. First of all, first find it works by Hippocrates for trying to measure healthiness of people. And scientists now separate indicators for three groups. First group, it's physique indicators. Can you give me example what it can be, physique indicators? No, not normatives. No. Physique indicators, it's body length, body weight, posture, volumes and shapes of individual body parts, the amount of fat, etc., etc., etc. That means physique indicators, it can be biometrics. This is the first group of indicators. Second group, health indicators. Any ideas what is that? Okay, good. What shows blood pressure for you? What shows this information for you? How your heart working? Okay, good. In general, it shows how your cardiovascular system works at the moment. It also can be respiratory systems, autonomic and central nervous system, digestive. Any ideas what is digestive? ЖКТ, желудочно-кишечный тракт, digestive and excretory organs, thermoregulation mechanisms, etc., etc. And the last criteria is indicators of development physical qualities. Arsene, you said correct. First, this is your strength, speed ability, stretching, endurance. What is that? What's more? Who can send me? What else? Stamina? Endurance? Okay. That means this information for you, I think, that means we can say that you are healthy looking just for example, your BMI index. Or what else? Of your shapes. It's not shows us that you are healthy. You can be healthy, for example, you can have just 10 or 7% of fat, and you can look fit, but you can have visceral fat throughout the body, near your organs, and you need to learn how realize it. As you can see on fitness test, we're trying to use some of these criteria. We started to use your biometrics, and also we using indicators of development of physical qualities. So we are trying to measure your endurance, your strength, your stretching, and combine these indicators. But I think it's not enough. But we have no resources to measure your health indicators. For example, to make ECG, EKG, for example, or we have no time to measure blood pressure and pulse before and after workout. Because of it, you need to go to the medical center and take from them a medical reference, and they tell us that okay, the medical health indicators is normal. So, and in a good way, you need to check your body, your health almost one time per week. In Russian, it's called dispensarization. Any questions about this section? Now we are going to talk about basic laws of physical development. This is the starting point where when you choosing the exercise and methods how to improve yourself. And the first law, it's a law of heredity. What is heredity? Who can talk? What? Наследственность. Exactly. Why do you need to know this law of heredity? As I said, I will try to explain from the two ways. In the first way, if you do not know about anything, first of all, you try to do, for example, tilt, and you can't. And you're doing stretching every day for for 6 months, for example, but you can make tilt. It's heredity. That means it's just example in general. That means your parents, for example, their muscles and joints not so strange, and it's will be a big starting point for you. And also, for example, if you're high-level athlete and you're trying to to go Olympic Games, no, it's not correct example for you. For example, if I work as a coach, if I teaching children to swim, and I want to grow Olympic champion, what will I see in each children? I will look for his parents. I will look for his brothers and sisters to understand, will he waste time in this type of sport or not? It's a big science to separate children, how they need to choose sports. Okay. The next law, the age steps law. This law means that when you're a child, physical exercise causes some effects in one way. When you're a middle-aged person, it causes another effect. And when you're elder people, it causes the third. That means you need to notice that you need to change exercises throughout your life. Also, two ways of explaining this law. If you're starting to do some sports now, when you're 18 age people, or when you're starting to do sports when you, for example, 5 age people, these different things. For example, if you're starting to do sports now, that means you need to spend a lot more time to change your functions of your organs to training. For example, if you're doing low intensity of work, for a child, the cardiorespiratory system will increase, for example, for a month, but your can increase, for example, for half a year. Any questions about this law? Okay, the next law is a law of unity of the organism and the environment. This law means that you can develop your physical indicators separately of your environment. For example, if you live in hot countries, is anybody here from Egypt? Okay. Try to how to say that cross. Try to give blood and look at the vitamin D. I think you have you have a deficit of vitamin D. Another example, if you live near the factory, завод загрязняет атмосферу, да, окружающую среду. Как это сказать?
Pollutes the air around.
Yeah, thank you. The factory pollutes the air around, and not just air and water and all of the plants, and it is causes for you too. And also, neural system adapts, your neural system adapts for the environment, because the main function of the neural system is staying alive. Any questions about this law? I think I described it not so clear. Okay, the next, the biological law of exercise. That means the body can be trained. I didn't find this law in English literature, but in Russian it sounds like закон упражняемости. That means you can affect for your body through the exercise. I think this is the simple law, but any questions? And the last, the most difficult law to describe, for me, it's the law of unity of forms and function of an organism in its activity. How to describe more clearly than the last. For example, when you're preparing to run a marathon, what you will train? You will train the oxidative system of your body. This is the function. But you can change the function of your body without changes in your organs and your cells. That means changes in your cells causes changes of your functions. Is it clear? Okay, thank you. The next part, the general principles of training. These principles you need to know if you are a beginner and also if you are advanced. If you are a beginner, you need to know it, to realize how you will train through all the life. What you can do and what you can't do in training. And first principle, it relates to principle to law of heredity. It's the principle of individuality. What that means? That means we burned not the same ability to do anything. And we have not the same ability to respond of the stress. And the speed of adaptation, your organism to the stress. And we need to use this information when you're trying to use, for example, when you buy a training program for for everyone, yes. You need to realize that it can be not useful for you. The next principle is principle of specificity. That means training adaptations are highly specific to the type of activity. For example, to prepare for marathon running, no needs to do push-ups every day, for example. And another example, if you are trying to prepare for 100 meters running, no needs to do marathon running, for example. The next principle, principle of reversibility. This principle means if you not use some functions of your organism, you will lose this function. So you will be trained if you're not trained. Next principle is the principle of progressive overload. This is the main principle for beginners. You need to eat a pie for pieces. Is it correct? Нужно есть пирог по кусочкам. Так говорю. Я ничего не понял.
Piece by piece.
Piece by piece. You need to eat pie piece by piece. Okay, it's a поговорка. For example, if you did nothing for almost 1 year or half year, and you decided to run 10 kilometers, or worse for you, 20 kilometers. The risk of this activity is injury, at least injury, as maximum it's a dying. If you don't, didn't know this principle, you can die.
Now I know why I did this course.
Everybody, I think, know the most popular history about the first marathon runner. Who can tell us this history?
Wow. Well, there was a person who ran for a very, very long time to deliver some extremely important message to their, I don't know, some queen or king or something like that. And he managed to deliver that, but he died soon after.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
What he is broke? Is broke the love of the principle of progressive flow. Thank you. I think this principle is clear. And the last, not last in general, last of some key principles. It's principle of variation, principle of periodization. This principle most useful for high-level athletes, but for beginners it's useful too. For example, if you're trying to train every day, you need to change the workouts to your load. For example, it's not so good if you're doing every day, every week, the same training program. You need to change it. For example, if you're doing strength training, if you're going to the basic strength training for a year, I think it will be good to go to the stretching or to the swimming sometimes to change your workouts. In particular, in this summer semester, we made some changes on the system. You can go anywhere when you want. For example, you can go today to the basic strength training, tomorrow you can go to the swimming, because of the principle of variation. Any ideas why you need to do
it? About different parts of your body.
Thank you. To do the different parts of your body. Okay, thank you. But now we talk not just about parts of your body. We also talk about the systems of your organism, and also about energy systems. But it's a little bit later. In this part, I wanted to explain you some historical aspects about physiology, but I think it's too boring. It will be too boring for you. Because last 4 course in this part. So I just want to tell you for two great scientists. It's Mikhail Ivanovich Sechenov, and he is the father of Russian physiology. Anyone knows him? Is anyone knows him? Sechenov. We have a hospital named for his name, and also Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. I think he is more famous. His great openings, открытия. Why? Inventors? Discovers? Okay, discovered, thank you. About digestive system, you heard about dogs, Pavlov's dogs, and in 1940, for example, 6 or 6, the scientists of the world award them the International Physiological Congress awarded him the honorary title of Elder of the Physiologists of the World. Well, the scientists discovered the physiology in general, but exercise physiology goes from the general physiology, also biochemistry, anatomy, and a lot more sciences. Now we are going to talk about functional state monitoring. Why? Because I tried to make my thing that all of the scientists tries to measure the healthiness, and we are going to talk about, first of all, how to measure your proper weight. What that means? It's not about your shapes. It's about amount of, for example, fat or muscle tissue, amount of muscle tissue in your body, and proper weight you can calculate with from the tables. Some scientists make these tables, and we are going to talk about Brock formula. I'm sorry. I want to talk about the main problem when we try to measure your health status. The most effective method. It's, for example, to take your blood and to analyze this blood, but this is invasive method. Non-invasive methods like these tests, it's not too effective, and when you trying to use it, you need to understand that the same measurements in different tests can give you the different results, and you need to do a lot more tests than just, for example, BMI. Also, you can do Stange tests. And also, you can use Brock formula. It's like BMI, but a little bit different formula, and also different definition. And it's will be your homework. You will need to learn about definitions and how you can use these formulas. Brock's formula, Bergard's formula, BMI, get less index. You will need to measure everything of it. I think it's not too difficult. First of all, I think it will be interesting for you to как тут интерпретировать результаты. Interpret results for yourself, and for example, in some formulas you will in normal position, for example, another not normal. It's interesting, and you need to compare. You need to compare. Okay. Now I want to invite here 5 volunteers who wants to make squats, 20 squats. 5 volunteers, please. I want to invite here 5 volunteers. Now we're going to do Martinez test. The technique is in standing position. You need to rest for 1 minute. Then determine the heart rate in 1 minute. Do 20 squats in 30 seconds. And immediately after squats, determine the heart rate in 1 minute.
Do you measure our own pulse?
Yes. How? It's a good question. How can you measure your pulse? Yes, with a smartwatch. But if you have no smartwatch, you can
Count our targets.
yes, it's a neck, share neck. You can touch your neck here, and also you can touch here. No need to measure pulse for 1 minute. We can measure for 10 seconds and then multiply this. Everyone is ready? Go. Stop. to remember your... Как там скажем? Ничего. Нужно запомнить.
You should now remember the value of your heart rate and
Yes.
compare it with what you get after the exercise.
Okay, now we are gonna start to make 20 squats, okay? 20 squats. Ready, set, go.
Я пошла, ничего нет, я кайфую сломала.
Okay. Everyone, let's get ready. Okay. Ready, set, go. Stop. And what is the result? From to 82, 142. Okay. Okay. And yours? 78, 128. 100, okay. Well, to realize what is the results, you need to know the definitions about this test. So I can read it. Interpretation. Exceeding the initial heart rate by 25% is excellent. If the heart rate is for 100% higher than the initial one, you should consult a doctor. Thank you, all of you. Yes. The next test, it's the test. The simple test, you need to run for 12 minutes. And then you need to measure your distance. The second variant of this test is 6 minutes running. I think this test is a little bit outdated for today because some people can't run in general. But if you can run, you can just walk. And the next is Stange's tests. You need to measure how long you can break your breathing. So you will need to do all of these tests. If you have some question, feel free to ask. The next big part of today's lecture is bioenergetics and muscle metabolism. Any ideas? Where the energy on our Earth? Everywhere, yes. It's everywhere. The energy goes to the Earth from the from the sun. From the sun. This energy transformed by plants by the process, as you know, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a chemical process that transformed the solar energy to the chemical energy, and it's stored on plant substrates. Then, as you can see in this picture, insects and some little animals eating the plants. This energy, they used this energy, plants' energy, and it's stored in their tissues, muscle tissues, and organs from the animals. Then we're eating the animals, and this energy we use. Some of the people can eat just solar energy. Some people think that they can eat just plants. Some vegetarians, and etc., etc. But the science says us that you need to eat meat. Interesting fact, I think, after in ancient times, when humans started to eat meat, they made a lot of develops because meat stored a lot of energy, more than energy in plants. So, the processes by transforming energy in the body called metabolism. Any questions? Okay. We have three pathways to storing energy. And first, as you know, it's a fats. Fats stored on our body in interesting places, as you can see, as triglycerides. You need to remember it. But to use fats, you need to spend energy to transform the triglycerides to glycerol and free fatty acids. Because just here, free fatty acids. Because just free fatty acids you can use on lipolysis. lipolysis, it's a process of using fats in general. The next substrate, it's carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates go to your body with the food, and then it goes to your blood as glucose, and it's glucose stored in your body, in muscles and in liver as I forgot the name of this substrate. It's stored as like glycogen. And also, but a little percent of energy, it's proteins, but proteins contains the chains of the amino acids. One molecule of protein, it's a chain of molecules, amino acids. And in general, proteins works as ferments by doing the rest of the process. So that means we're not using proteins directly to doing energy. It can be just in critical situations when in the body ends, fat and carbohydrates ends. Recall? Right now? Okay, thank you. So, in general, these processes called metabolism. Any questions? Carbs, fats, and 2 lipogenesis proteins. It's my personal joke. Is anyone watched the films Locks, Dogs, and 2 Smoking Barrels? Is it funny or not? Okay. As you can see, our body stores every fuels. This values for adult, lean, healthy person with percent of fat around 12-15%. Each healthy person have 100 glycogen in liver, 50 in muscles, and glucose in grams in fluid blood. As you can see, fat stores more than 50 times more kilocalories, and also we have intramuscular fat, but we can't use this fat to producing energy. It's how to explain what is the fat. Какой-то оболочка, shell. This fat uses to making shell of the cells. So, as you can see here, protein can supply up to 5% of the energy. Any questions about this slide? So, how our body knows how many energy it is need to produce? It's very difficult system, but the main substrate that controls the rate of energy production is enzymes. Enzymes produced by proteins. I think we will not go too deeply in this session, but the name of the process when substrates reduce to the simplest and energy goes free, it's a process named catabolism. So, most of you knows that the fat catabolism is good and protein catabolism is not so good in general. As illustrated in this figure, typical metabolic pathways have one enzyme that is of particular importance in controlling the rate. So, how the energy activates by the chemical processes? In general, this is the fuel. How to activate the energy from the fuels. It doesn't matter. Is it a carbohydrate? Is it fat? You need to use enzyme, protein enzymes. It makes. I'm sorry. It makes fuel in activated state. Then I'm sorry. Then the catabolic processes goes and makes free energy. So, the immediately available source of energy for almost all metabolism, including muscle contraction, is adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. How ATP works? When an ATP molecule is combined with the water, I'm sorry, in this you can, with the enzyme ATPase, with the water, the last phosphate group splits away and rapidly releasing a large amount of energy. We will not go deeply in chemical formulas, so you need to believe me. The time is over for first lecture. Okay.